Confession. I have not been feeling limitless lately. What the fuck? I know, but it's totally okay. Join me on today's show and I'll give you a raw and real update on hitting the lockdown wall, how self-love isn't always bubble baths in the afternoon for me, and what I've been doing about not feeling limitless. If you've been feeling the lockdown blues, you're overwhelmed with homeschool biz and life, or you're just feeling a bit meh and off your Limitless You A-Game, you're not alone, my love. I got you, boo. You're listening to the Limitless Mother Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Javid, money mindset expert, success coach, mother, tea drinker, energy obsessed manifester, afternoon bath lover, and thought leader in financial empowerment for mums. I know that we get to be successful because we are mothers, not in spite of it. And so around here, we do things differently. I've torn up the business rulebook and created a new paradigm for us, one in which we create results using energy instead of effort. I'm on a mission to help you ditch the old way of creating success. You know, the one where you work hard, hustle, and sacrifice, and instead teach you how to increase your impact and income without increasing your hours, and how to manifest your dreams. So, if you're a mother who's ready to learn how to elevate your energy to start making bank and start living your limitless life, this is your podcast, my love. And I'm your new biz bestie. Join me as we explore what's possible for us as mothers and business owners when we remove the limits. Hello, my limitless mothers. How are you doing? It's Corey Javid here from CoreyJavid.com. What is up with you? So, bit of a different episode today and not part of our planned schedule, but I'll get into that in a minute. First of all, have you been receiving my Biz Bestie voice memos? If you're like, what the heck are these? I don't even know about them. Then get your sweet buns over to CoreyJavid.com/bestie, BESTIE, my love, because you're not going to want to miss out on these. I'm not going to lie, they're amazing. She says so modestly. What it is, right, is because of this lockdown life, I was thinking, I just have things that I want to share, things that I'm excited to tell you, things that are like, quite often I'll have like the same question from like 3 clients in a week, or be talking about a really similar theme with all of my mastermind ladies, and I'm like, I just really want to share it. And then I'll look at the podcast schedule and I'll be like, I've got to wait like 6 weeks. I want to share it right now. Sometimes it's just something like really on my heart that I'm passionate about, or something a bit silly or funny. So instead of waiting for a podcast episode, like obviously I'm always bringing you the gold here, but these are just really small, little, totally uncut, unedited, off the cuff tidbits. Sometimes they could be like 2 minutes long, sometimes like 10 minutes long. I might record 2 in a day. True story, I did that today. I might have even recorded 3. And I might not record any for a week. Like, there's no schedule, they're not edited, like I say, and they are just as they say they are. Voice notes from your biz bestie, moi. If that sounds amazing, then sign up for them. They're delivered via whichever is your podcast player of choice, so it's super easy, but it is not a podcast. It's very different. You'll have to just experience it if you want to know more. I might start sharing some little snippets from what's going on over there on here, just so that you can get a little glimpse. But the best thing to do, my love, is actually just to sign up, yeah? CoreyJavid.com/bestie, and we'll pop a conveniently placed link in your show notes inside your podcast player. And guess what else is in there, sitting snugly next to that link, is a link to Limitless Money. It deserves some kind of singing introduction, apparently. And yeah, it's it's open. It's always open now, which is amazing. So I must remember to just tell you about the wonder that is Limitless Money. And I say that obviously slightly tongue-in-cheek, but also very seriously. I was answering an email from one of our Limitless Money students just this morning, And oh my goodness, it's just like, it's my soul's work. I know that sounds cheesy and I don't even care. I just absolutely am obsessed with helping women to heal their relationship with money, because it's so empowering, but it's also just a really... There's a phrase that's coming to mind. I'm desperately trying to think of something else. I'm just going to say it and let's all think of a different phrase, okay? It's a journey of self-discovery. But it is in the most wonderful way. Like the woman who was emailing me this morning. So, if you don't know, one of the things that you get when you sign up for Limitless Money is you get 3 check-ins where you... I sent a mail from moi asking how you're getting on at 3 different points in your time in Limitless Money. And then if you respond, I personally read them and reply as of these days. Now, that might change at some point. Got no plans to change it, just saying, but as of right now. So get in there right now where that's still a thing. Anywho, she emailed me back, replied to one of my emails and was telling me how she was getting on. And just she was having so many aha moments and so many light bulb moments. And she had a couple of like limiting beliefs around money, and she said like she went through one of the modules in the course again just to kind of take a layer deeper, and discovered like some really deep rooted stuff that she'd picked up in childhood, because often that is where we pick up our programming and conditioning around money, right? And it's not making our parents or caregivers wrong ever, don't misunderstand me on that, but it's just about we are so wide open to programming and imprinting at that age, and our people around us are just doing their best, but they are a product of their conditioning, and so it just keeps going on, right? Anywho, she realized, oh my goodness, it's this is the thing that's been underneath all of these other ways that I've been feeling about money. And then because it's money, it permeates into everything else in our business, right? And anyway, just seeing the kind of lightness, just sensing the lightness coming off of her email and the energy that she was kind of communicating to me via the words of her email was just so beautiful, because once you like really shine a light on it, it's just that moment of like, oh, that's why. And understanding yourself and understanding these things that have been subconsciously holding you back from making and receiving more money with ease is just I think, such a gift that you can give yourself. So anyway, I could go on. I could wax lyrical about Limitless Money. It's like the best thing I may have ever created. But you won't know how amazing it is until you get into it. So CoreyJavid.com/limitless. Super easy to remember link. I think you'll agree. Definitely, it is a gift to yourself. I would see it that way. And this being, and I should mention this, being our 3rd installment in Self-Love Month, it just seems like a very apt gift to give to oneself. At this time, a really beautiful thing that you can do for yourself, but then in doing for yourself, actually, it's the gift that then gives to others, because guess what? If you are of an abundance mindset, if you are creating and receiving more wealth and more abundance in the world, because I have every faith that you are not an asshole and that you are a heart-centered person, I know that you will use that abundance to, shine your light, do good, help the people that you want to help, and also pass on a legacy of abundance, by which I mean actual wealth and an abundance mindset, to your kids and maybe those people around you too. So it's a beautiful thing. Be part of it. CoreyJavid.com/limitless. Okay, so let's get into today's show, shall we? Lockdown, self-love, and not feeling limitless. Now, if you're like, wait, what the fuck? The self-proclaimed limitless mother is telling me she's not feeling limitless. Yeah. Actually, just going to admit to that. It's not even like admitting to it. And here's the thing, I've been kind of struggling with the language around this. Like, I know I said at the beginning, like confession, and that's partly just kind of good marketing to make sure you listen to the episode, right? Let's be real about that. But I don't want you to think that I don't want this to be framed as a confession. I don't want this to be framed as, an admission or something, because it shouldn't be a surprise. And I hope that it's not a surprise. Like, you know me, right? I'm a pretty high vibe person. It's just my natural default setting. When I say it's natural, it isn't. It's because I do the work. I work on myself. I make it a priority to tend to my energy, right? So because of that, I cultivate a high vibe of energy. But I never have claimed and never will claim to be perfect or deliriously happy 100% of the time. a lot of the time I'm very content, but not all of the time, because I'm a human having a human experience, right? So I really hope that this doesn't come as a surprise per se, but I do like to bring the light to this show, and I do like to keep things generally upbeat, but equally I'm very committed to keeping things real around here, around these parts. And so this is a real experience that I was having last week, and I'm just going to share it with you, right? In the interests of that. So in a nutshell, let's get into it, shall we? Let's. So, and actually, before I do, I just want to talk about the topic of self-love a little bit. We're going to talk about it in a really deep way later this month, which I'm so excited for, literally. I can't wait for that episode. I've got a lot to say. But self-love doesn't always look like things that we are kind of, associating with self-care all of the time. So for example, I love me a good mid-afternoon bath, and I love to luxuriate in it, and think of all the people working in offices and I'm in a bath in the middle of the afternoon. Now, that's all well and good. That is one of my favorite activities, of course, and I do count that, of course, as part of self-care and an act of self-love. But self-love isn't always the kind of pretty or the indulgent, and sometimes it's a bit more kind of real and raw in that, and it all's included, and it's part of the kind of rich tapestry of self-love. Don't know why I did that voice, so let's just move on. So anyway, going back to me and why I'm sharing this, I do want to talk about how self-love sometimes looks different. I want to talk about what to do when you're not feeling limitless, because here's the thing. Last week, it was decidedly not feeling limitless, my love. I will happily put my hands up and admit that. Not limitless last week. Now, if you'd asked me, are you limitless? I would have answered, well, and intellectually I can let you know that I am, because I've done the work to kind of intellectually, at a rational sort of level, know that, yeah, I am limitless. But was I feeling limitless? No. So I don't know exactly what happened, but here's how it went down. Pull yourself in a little, lean in, grab your cup of tea, let's settle in. It was Monday, and I'd just been feeling a bit off energetically, emotionally, mentally for a while. And you know how you're kind of nothing big enough that I was really sort of noticing or looking at it, but it just been kind of accumulating, let's say. And I've been still doing diligent, my mindset work and taking care of myself and all of those things. So I know that this could have escalated and gone a different way had I not been doing those things, because that's how I used to live, right? I used to live in a very different mental mindset and landscape. And you'll have known about that if you've listened to the show and any of the ones where we talk about how I used to be. Anywho, something just snapped within me on Monday. I just hit what I'm calling the lockdown wall. It was just, and it wasn't one thing. There wasn't one thing. And that was what was making me feel slightly perplexed in the moment of this dawning realization that I'm not feeling great. Is that there wasn't one particular thing. So I was like, but why? What is it? What is it that's making me feel a bit off my game and a bit sad at times? And then I realized, oh yeah, it's because I'm in the middle of a really ongoing pandemic and lockdown. And, obviously I'm joking about it now, but I know that a lot of people are feeling really down, and there's heightened anxiety and stress, and mental health problems are made worse at this time. And yeah, so anyway, so I just felt like I'd hit this wall, and I was just like, do you know what? I'm not fine anymore. I've just realized this, and I was just at the end of my tether, and I couldn't put my finger on, there wasn't one thing. I just knew I'd just reached a limit. Something in me had gone past the point of no return. So fortunately, I have a coach, as you know. I pay to be in a high-level mastermind. I'm always investing in myself, and thank God at times like these, because you have somebody that you can go to in that moment. And in the same way that so many of my clients have come to me lately too, right? So I know I'm not on my own in this, and we'll get onto that in a minute. I went to my coach, and I was like, and this is kind of funny. I was like, oh, so I know we have a call tomorrow night, and I don't really want to talk about this on the call. I don't know why I said that, but just go with me here. So I don't want to talk about this on the call because I have other things that I want to talk about. Now, the other things involved making some plans, which wasn't a really smart request on my side because, hey, if you're feeling a bit kind of emotionally overwhelmed, having more plans isn't probably the answer. But, I am fallible and this is my humanness, right? So, and I said, but I'm actually just struggling a bit mentally today. And I just wanted to say it and be seen in that. And that is a lot of it, really, my love. And that's one of the reasons why I'm sharing this, is to just share it with you and be seen in it in case you need to be seen in it and understood in it, because I see you and I understand you. And allowing ourselves to be seen in our struggle and to verbalize it and vocalize it is a big deal. And we'll talk about that more in a minute. But anyway, so carry on with the story. And she was like, yeah, I hear that, but do you think maybe it might help you to actually just get it all off your chest? And I was like, and see, here's the thing, is I'm definitely one for looking at and processing emotion, but I struggle if I'm fearful, just bearing my soul here, if I'm fearful that I will get into complaining. Because I don't enjoy just complaining, and I used to be a very complainy type of person, and I think it's part of me just kind of doesn't want to go there and doesn't want to indulge in that, that kind of wallowing when you're really sort of in it and nothing anyone says can like get you out, and you kind of want to keep your problems and you're kind of like fighting for your limitations. So I didn't want to get into that. And also I'm very aware that I don't have it hard, quote unquote, right? Like there are people out there, and maybe you're one of them, who are in circumstances way more challenging and testing than mine. But nonetheless, this is, we're all humans, we all experience different emotions, and this was how I was feeling. I was just struggling mentally and emotionally and energetically, I guess. So I was kind of dipping down on the old energetic scale. So anyway, so she said, do you think it might do good to get it off your chest? And I was like, well, yeah, you're right, as she always is, because she's my coach and she's wise and it's why I pay her. So anyway, I then felt that kind of surge of emotion. This is why this is important. I was going to go into this later. Let's just go into it now. One of the reasons why I'm sharing this is because one of the really important things that we need to do when we notice that we've hit that wall, or we're just feeling decidedly not limitless, or feeling actually awful, or whatever it is that you're feeling, right? If you're feeling anything other than positive, is admitting it to ourselves first and foremost, and vocalizing it to somebody else is such a big deal, because it helps us to let that emotion and the energy that's associated with it move through us. Otherwise, we're just keeping it down. And so I'd been unwittingly for a couple of days, because, it'd been simmering under the surface, as these things do, for a couple of days. And it was only when I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to finally say something to her, that I knew I was going to let it out. But even just typing that message to her kind of lifted the lid. And then I went downstairs and had a little cry to myself. And then I thought, well, I'm going to phone my mum, because what does a person do in this situation? And she phones her mum, right? And well, that's what this person does in this situation. Anyway, Mommy, who will be listening as well. Thanks, Mum. And well, at first I messaged her and I said, I just want to let you know this is how I'm feeling today. And I said, I don't need a solution, because I don't believe that there is one. And this is the thing. And this is the thing that my brain had been doing that I think had exhausted me. And I think this is why I hit the wall. I don't know if you resonate with this. Let me know. But my brain had been trying to find a solution. Now, there isn't one. Now, there are things that I can do, and I have done, and that's why I'm feeling a lot better, right? But there is no solution to the fact that we're in this seemingly Groundhog Day lockdown in dark winter months. I don't have to go into all the details. You might be living it too. I'm sure you're familiar. So there isn't a solution, but my brain would not stop teasing at that problem. And I think the reason my brain was teasing at that problem was because my brain wanted a way out of the feeling, but really the only way out of the feeling was to let the feeling out. Does that make sense? And that is so often the case. And by the way, I just realized, I just think I crafted on the hoof there a really excellent phrase. Let's just repeat it, shall we? The only way out of a feeling is to let a feeling out. Somebody copyright that. Write it down, someone, so I don't forget. Did I just make that up? Did I hear? I don't believe I heard it somewhere. I feel like I just channeled that. Anyway. I'll get over myself and carry on. I just felt like that was just, some truth there, right? Some soul-based truths coming out. Well, anyway, so I let it out. And so had a good cry and then cried some more to my mum, and just saying the reasons felt better. And I actually, afterwards, we talked for a while, and then the next morning I felt already a bit better. And I was thinking, well, do I actually need to kind of bore my coach with all of my woes? And I was like, no, continue the emotional cleansing process. I'm sure I'm not done here. It's not like it was that, this has been, a situation, not necessarily my mental situation. I just mean the wider situation, the pandemic. It's been accumulating and rolling on for the best part of a year now. So then I had my session with my coach, and I felt a lot better just from having that space of pure judgment-free, no agenda time. And that's why, another reason why I really recommend having somebody that you can speak to in that way. As much as I love my husband, my best friend, my mum, and I will and can talk to them about things, and I do, it's still very different from having somebody who's just extremely, I say impartial, but they're on your side, and they're just there to hold that space for you, to be seen, to be understood, and they don't have the agenda of with our loved ones. We tend to have an agenda of wanting to make them better, wanting them to be fine again, right? And so that sometimes can make us react and jumping in with solutions, and which, bless my mum, she didn't do this time, and I did request up front, can we not have a solution, because I don't think there is one. And that only comes from a good place, right? But that's true of everyone around us. Is ultimately we want the people around us to be fine, and so when they're not fine, then we want to help, but often that help comes from a desire to find a solution, when the other person maybe sometimes literally just wants to say how they're feeling. Anyway, so I very much appreciate that I invest in that kind of high-level support. I don't have the need to use that support in this way very often, but thank God that she's there in this way when I do. And I get it from both sides, because I obviously have that I'm able to do with her. And then I obviously hold that space for the women in my mastermind. We do one-to-one in Voxer, for example. And it's, and I actually enjoy holding the space for them, because I know how valuable it is to me to have somebody do that for me. So I did come up with a couple of small things, though, that I could do that aren't going to change the situation, of course, because it is just the relentless lockdown situation. Now, the seasons will be changing, and that will help. And I don't think I've ever been a person previously who's been affected by the weather. I know lots of people get seasonal affective disorder here in the UK, where we have so little sunshine. I mean, at the best of times, but especially so at this time of year. But I think it was just, and I reflected then that I'd spent the previous week, I had not left the house we went out for a walk on the Monday. Really great and excellent walk by the river, and then I did not leave the house again until the Friday. Now that's a very long time to stay inside, and that was not necessarily through choice either. It was just how things rolled, but also not being totally conscious to, okay, actually that's really important to get some daylight and to get some fresh air, getting exercise, because we do PE with Joe inside. But anyway, I think that was definitely a contributing factor as well. So I thought of a few things that I can do to make myself, feel a bit better. I'm not going to, but equally, I didn't want to just quite quickly sweep it away. I just allowed that I was just feeling this way, and I just removed judgment from myself. So I'm just sharing that in case that resonates with you. We can beat ourselves up for feeling anything other than top notch, and I never hope that my message would make you think that that's the kind of the aim here is to be positive 100% of the time. I mean, I think I'm always saying that's not what we're here for, right? It's not about being perfect. It's not about being positive 100% of the time or only thinking good thoughts. It's so unrealistic. That's never going to happen. We're humans having a human experience, right? But another reason why I'm sharing this today is because I just want us to have this full rounded view of what it's like to be a mother and a business owner, because that's what we talk about around here, right? And not just a woman in general. And sometimes, we don't feel limitless, and I was not feeling limitless last week. So I'm going to get into a couple of changes that I've made, small ones in case they resonate with you or just in case you're interested, to go through this process of processing this emotion, allowing it. This is so, so important. I cannot tell you how important they are. And I might tell you again in a minute. I can't promise that I won't bang that drum. But also things I've done to kind of start getting that energy moving and shifting again. I think a lot of it was really just stagnant energy kind of pooling in your body and also in our heads, because we're so forced inside physically at the moment that it makes you dwell too much inside your head mentally, and we're just knocking around up there. Sometimes we just get into kind of an unhealthy little pattern. So anyway, the main reason why I'm here telling you about this and telling you about the fact that I hit that lockdown last week is because I really want to normalize this. If you're feeling this way, that's fine. You're not alone. You're never the only one in how you're feeling. And I know it can feel like that sometimes. And right now we can feel so socially isolated. And I don't want you to feel socially isolated because it just adds to it. And so that's another reason why I'm sharing this today. I think it's really important for us just to be real about what it's like to be a mother and a business owner right now. And, we can still choose our outcomes. We can still choose our experiences. We can still feel good and be cultivating high vibes. And we can sometimes feel like crap. That's just it, right? And the other reason I'm sharing it is because, I'm always saying that it's never about being perfect or being 100% optimistic all the time. And this is just an example of me not feeling limitless. And so I feel like it's only right to be sharing it. And, well, I like to keep it real. And this was my real experience. So, and the other thing is it's okay. It's okay to be feeling something other than buoyant right now, if that's how you're feeling. So, I am okay now, right? But I was just energetically spent and emotionally spent last week. And I needed some time to recuperate from that. So here's what I have been doing in case any of it resonates. So one thing I realized is because I kind of made a list of my complaints, because actually having said I don't want to just complain, then that's what my coach forced me to do. So one of the things was I just felt like I had so little contact with my friends just because we're in lockdown and I hadn't actually seen any of them in person, even though we can meet up with one other adult, just because of logistics with my friends and stuff and our working patterns and life right now is challenging. I'd met up with one friend once for a walk, and my best friend, I hadn't seen her since the beginning of December or middle of December, somewhere just before we went into the last lockdown. I don't know. It's all blurring together. And that's a really, really important part of my life normally. My best friend and I have quite a few really close friends, but in particular, my best friend and I, we've been best friends since we were 18. And we normally meet up at least once a week, every single week, and have a good old chat, put the world to rights, as we normally say. And it is we always say, it's like our form of therapy. And we have very similar temperaments and we just always have such a giggle, and I always just feel like it's a really great, nourishing thing for my soul. And I'd been kind of deprived from that. And we hadn't even spoken on the phone. We'd sent the odd WhatsApp voice note and stuff, but just, life had been getting in the way. And I realized, no, I need to actually reach out. And so I sent her a message and I was like, hey, I know and we actually had a call, but we'd kept rearranging it. You know how these things are. I said, I know we've got a call later this week, but is there any chance we can actually meet on person when we can soon? Because I'm struggling a bit and I could do with some of my best pal time. And she was like, let's just make it happen. And she'd been struggling too, right? So we did that on the weekend, and that just felt, I can't tell you how good that felt. It just felt like my soul reset itself. It was like, it helped that it was sunny outside as well. We met at the beach for a walk. And that, speaking of that, time outside. Now, again, today I had all the best will in the world to go for a walk, and it was actually snowing today, but I still would have gone for a walk, but it just didn't happen. I have to take opportunities to work when I see them. And also my daughter's school day is a really quite drawn out affair with 3 separate calls on a Monday that we have to be in for, and then my mum comes and spends a little time with her because she's in a childcare bubble with us, and then I can do a bit of work, and and then there's lunch and there's making dinner and it's dark and blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? It's just, you've been there. Right? So spending time outside, that's something that I'm working on. And the last week, a couple of things that I did was just literally just walk up to the top of the hill and back, just to have some daylight in my face. And that's a real mood booster. And actually, I talked about something else that I'm doing in one of my Biz Bestie voice memos. shameless plug for those. Go and get yourself in them. It's something I'm doing every single day that's actually made a difference to my sleep too. And I'm taking some time fully off as well. So that was the other thing, is I realized that normally we have family holidays planned in the calendar, but we've got nothing. We've got nothing that we're kind of like looking forward to. And so that just kind of was adding to things. So I'm booking in some time off in March and some in April, depending on the weather and lockdown situation. Like, we'll see what we do, but it's just having that kind of defined time. And I'm not working that much right now, so it can feel like, well, do I really quote unquote need a holiday? Because actually I'd quite like a holiday. Would be actually having some more time to work on my business might actually feel like a treat. But also it's having that kind of very clearly defined time off, because if we're not careful, and I am fairly good with routine in the week in general, but the difficult thing, isn't it, with lockdown, is that things just blur a bit, don't they, more than we would normally have. So anyway, having some of that really clearly defined like downtime is good. I do have a couple of days coming up. So I don't have travel to look forward to, but I am booking in some time off, and I might, I am thinking of doing something else with travel. I'll tell you, because I'll share it on the show. One of my mastermind ladies, she curates amazing bespoke custom travel, and we are planning a trip to Australia, so I might just get her to actually design it for us now, so we have it to look forward to as and when we're able to kind of pull the trigger on that. So those are some of the things that I've been doing, like making some actual little changes there to feel better, because like being disconnected from my friends, not a great thing, right? Not spending time outside, not a great thing. Not having any structured time off booked in the diary to look forward to, not a great thing. So those are things that I can kind of actually make some changes on. But really, in terms of getting out of the funk that I was in and transitioning out of not feeling limitless, it really does come down to self-love. And that's why I kind of decided to include this as a kind of bonus episode. It's kind of a weird bonus, like, hey, it's a bonus. It sounds like it's going to be something like really shiny. And I'm like, here's the bonus, here's the news. I was feeling not limitless last week. You know what I mean? It is a bonus in that way, because we're talking about self-love, and that's always a bonus. But anywho, that is the way out of this always is acts of self-love. First and foremost, allowing the fact that you're feeling whatever you're feeling, whatever that is, owning it and labeling it is enormous. Like, I felt such a surge of emotion bubble up, which I allowed, and that's a big thing, when I just admitted, labeled, and spoke about my current state and how I was feeling, and just vocalizing it to people around you, and not feeling like we have to soldier on or put on a brave face or any of that bullshit. Such crap, right? I'm sure it doesn't really do any of us and our mental health any favors to be stifling our feelings, pushing it down, trying to just persevere through it. I feel like it just accumulates within us as stagnant and stuck energy. And for me, it manifests as headaches. And so I knew instantly there was something. That's why I went to my coach, because I was like, hang on a minute, I've had a headache for 2 days now. And it's not one that I believe is hormonal, because I do get those. Because I'd had that, and it was like a week later, and I was like, yeah, okay, time to be real with myself. How am I really feeling? So owning it and allowing it is an act of self-love, because what we do when we don't own it and feel it is we tell ourselves that it's not okay to have that feeling. It's not okay to be human. It's not okay not to be shiny and happy all of the time. And that's putting conditions on our worthiness, and conditions on our love for ourselves, and conditions on our feelings of being worthy to receive love from others. So I do see it as an act of self-love to own how we feel and vocalize it and be okay, even if that vocalization of it causes others discomfort, which it sometimes does for people around me. And the people pleaser in me that I am killing more and more every day. I'll give you an update on that in a bit, and not in today's show, but I'm making some great strides on killing that bitch. That people pleaser inside of me would often not say in the past how I was feeling, just because dare not be an inconvenience or seen as the worst high maintenance to someone else. So, I mean, that's a whole topic in and of itself, right? But anyway, owning it, vocalizing it, a big deal, big acts of self-love, actually, and processing it and allowing it. So like allowing those tears to come up. I'm not a big crier, but, hey, that's how we release energy sometimes, right? I'm here for it. And that's the thing, having a bit of an ugly cry is an act of self-love. Now, I am not knocking a mid-afternoon bubble bath, as you know, big fan of the bath, but allowing yourself to have a little cry, calling your mum and saying, "Mommy, I don't feel great." That's an act of self-love. And I'm laughing, but it's true, right? It is an act of self-love. And then, I've been continuing to do the other things that I know that are smart, that take care of me. So I noticed that for a couple of days I'd fallen off my yoga game. None of that, back on my yoga game, because that is so good for me. I find it keeps me really grounded, out of my head, really present. It's really great. I bring in it like an energetic intention to the mat with me every time, and I just really enjoy that time for myself as well. I find it really nourishing. So got back at that. Been doing my mindset work throughout, but I just gave it a bit of a shift in perspective. Took it right to the present moment and just allowing, and also did some journaling and just a kind of journaling brain dump of, all of the things that I was feeling and just get them all on paper. Often that just feels like quite a nice sort of purging and allowing of that energy to flow through. And then the outside time as well. So that's obviously back in connection with nature as best as I can. And also that is an act of self-love too, is, setting intentions and sticking with them. And also on the flip side, not beating ourselves up if for whatever reason we can't make it happen, because we are living in challenging times. So I really want that to be kind of something that we consider and take on, is that it's an act of self-love to say, this is important to me, and then to honor that commitment to myself. That is a big act of self-love. Like, my mindset work, my yoga practice, for me, it's as much about the signaling to myself as it is the activity in and of itself. That is the act of self-love. Does that make sense? So I give myself love by showing up for the activity, by honoring my commitment to do it, as much as I show myself love through the actual practice of, say, yoga. So that's a really important aspect. And at the same time, acknowledging our humanness and not beating ourselves up if we do drop the ball. If I don't do yoga, it's not about beating myself up so that I then continue to do it. It's about being super gentle with ourselves. So that's something else that I'm practicing as an act of self-love, is being really, really gentle and kind with myself, and not blaming and shaming and guilting myself for anything that I'm doing right now. And then the other thing that I ask myself, and that you can ask yourself if you are feeling like you need this, is, how can my business support me right now? So as well as like leaning into your support network, which I definitely recommend, that's part of that vocalizing piece, right? Saying like, hey, I'm feeling this way. Hey, can I have some help? And even if that help is just somebody to listen or whatever, it's a huge deal. And that's what obviously I've been doing over here. But another thing is leaning into your business for support. This is why we have our businesses, which is an amazing thing, because they can support us at times like these. So my business is quite flexible. It's already supporting me in that way. I can move my schedule around. I can ask my team to take things off my hands. I can pause certain projects. And so I shuffled some things around and just created a little bit more space just to take any pressure. I mean, I say take pressure off, but I'm very aware that most of the time in business, the pressure that we're putting on ourselves comes from us. And so I kind of was looking for, where am I putting pressure on myself? And can I release that? And, extended a couple of deadlines, paused a couple of things, just, to create some space for myself. I may just kind of like throw myself into them again as and when those things are feeling really exciting. But it's, looking at, where can my business support me? And actually another great thing that my business is doing to support me right now, because I'm craving connection, because I'm not as able to see my close friends in real life as I ordinarily would. One of the things that I'm absolutely adoring is the Biz Bestie voice memos, because it gives me that same connection with you ladies, right? Of like, in the same way that I will just send my best friend random little voice notes through the day, just tell her I love her or share something funny with her. I don't want to bombard her because she's a busy woman too, right? So I will do that with her, obviously. But it's nice to have somewhere to share and to connect with other people, and that I get to use my business for that too, right? So, I mean, and obviously I spend, much of my actual time when I'm working either on calls or on Voxer with my clients, which is always an energizer for me, always makes me feel amazing. And I'm very grateful to my business for that, because having that purpose-based, soul-aligned work is just so good. But anyway, it's about asking that question though, is there anything my business can be doing to support me right now? So these are some of the things I've been doing. Like I said, take what resonates, leave the rest behind. But I just wanted to share this so that you know you're not alone if you've been feeling any of these ways too. So many of us are feeling like this right now. And here's the other thing. I don't want you to believe for a second that you're special in this. Now, don't misunderstand me. I think we're all special in our own unicorny ways, right? Unicorny. That's a nice word. Let's just say it one more time. Unicorny. You are special in that way, but you're not special if you're feeling like this, and that this feeling is not special. It's just very human. And there's nothing wrong with you, my love, if this is how you're feeling right now. We're in the most weirdest of times. We cannot expect to be feeling tip-top all of the time. And it doesn't mean that you should stop. Now, what I mean by that is, if you need like a break, absolutely take a break. I am all one for taking downtime, right? You don't need to do much convincing of me for me to co-sign on your downtime. But what I mean is don't stop believing. I could literally just break into song there. Don't stop. Okay, I'll stop singing, because my singing voice leaves something to be desired. Anyway, don't stop though believing. Oh my goodness, listen to that and don't sing it in your head. I dare you. It's impossible, right? In your dreams or your aspirations, or even the goals and things that you've set for yourself, maybe in your business that you would like to create, it doesn't mean we have to let go of our dreams and desires. Don't misunderstand me there. It's not about throwing our hands in the air and retreating under a duvet until this is all over. Now, hey, if you want a duvet day, my love, you take one. But you get what I'm saying, right? This isn't about giving up. That's just giving away power. And so I'm not here for that. I'm here for being empowered to own how I'm feeling, taking really good care of myself, slowing down if I need to, really leaning into support. But I'm not stopping. There's nothing that's going to stop me and my mission. Ultimately, it might take me, a few extra days or weeks if I've slowed certain things down. But I don't even like to kind of say that, because I don't believe that my action taking equates to my outcomes. It's my energy, right? So anyway, I could go on to a whole spiel there, but my point is, don't be discouraged. Don't feel that because you are maybe feeling off your game energetically or mindset-wise or emotionally, or however it's presenting for you, if that's how you're feeling. Don't feel like it means that suddenly things aren't available for you. Suddenly you can't choose your outcomes and experiences anymore. No, that's not the case. We still get to manifest, same as before. We still get to receive with ease, same as before. And having an off day, an off week, even an off month isn't going to get in the way of that. But it's about allowing how you're feeling and having the support in place and the permission that you're giving yourself. And these are all acts of self-love. Having the support, act of self-love. Leaning into the support, act of self-love. Owning how you feel, act of self-love. Allowing yourself to process it. But those are all parts of the path to the thing that you want to manifest. Most of the time, when we let those things through, it actually takes with us something else that had been lurking in there that wasn't serving us anyway. Do you know what I mean? And clears the path. So it's all part of the path, is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't mean that you've fallen off the path. The path to the thing that you're looking to manifest, your goals, your dreams, desires, is not thinking and being perfect energetically. It's just about having the balance tipped towards feeling high vibe, not having it tipped that way permanently and 100% of the time. Know what I mean? Okay, cool. So you're not on your own. Don't stop believing. I can't say that without laughing. And there's nothing wrong with you if you've been feeling this way too. And don't just try to power through, right? Do the things that I've been doing, owning it, vocalizing it, processing it, finding more ways to show yourself self-love, take extra kind care of yourself, even if that literally just means noticing where you're being a bit of a bitch to yourself and stopping it. You know how we have that inner bitch and she wants to tell us that, oh, you're never going to do this and yeah. What a negative Nancy she is. Sorry if your name's Nancy, by the way. I think it's a beautiful name. You know what I'm saying? Like, even that in and of itself is an act of self-love, is noticing it. Just that negative, real trash talk that we do and stopping it. That's an act of self-love. But anyway, I could go on, but I'm going to tackle self-love in a bigger way. But I just wanted to bring this to you, my love, tell you about my lockdown wall, self-love, and how I was not feeling limitless last week and how that's okay. And I hope that if you are feeling anything other than just dandy, then you ask yourself these questions. What do I need? Who can support me? I mean, just shout out to my elevated abundance ladies. Oh, these women, they are just like, they light up my life. I love them. They are doing this so beautifully. They are supporting each other and also being open to receive the support of the group and making those requests so beautifully right now. Oh my goodness, I'm obsessed with these ladies. They're so good. Anyway, what do I need? Who can support me? And what does my business need to give me right now? 3 really great questions you can ask yourself. And I was just going to wrap it up, but there's one more thing that I was just going to note. So since I've been doing this, so about a week now as I'm recording this, that I've been doing these things about, just really opening up, letting those feelings out and really asking for and allowing myself to receive support. In doing that, obviously, it's an act of self-love, but I'm opening up to receive anything, but including love. And it's been so interesting. I was just reflecting on this morning and I thought I must say this when I record the podcast. And so that's why I just remembered now. Phew, just in the nick of time. That I just love how when we change our energy, we have that change reflected back to us so quickly if we're looking for it. So I shifted through that energy, not that I needed to be kind of like, shake it off, be done with it really quickly or anything like that, but I just went through that natural process of allowing this to come up, deal with it, move through it. But in the act of processing this and dealing with this, obviously I was opening myself up to receive the support and the love that I was desiring and needing right now, and allowing myself to feel worthy of receiving that. And then it's really interesting because although I went to specific people to receive that love and support, like my mastermind ladies, a couple of those, and my coach and my mum and my best friend, just as some examples, it's really interesting because suddenly I had even more messages than usual from Voxer, from my mastermind ladies, just like telling me just really beautiful messages, like thanking me for my support, and just really just the sort of things that just kind of, you're like, I just am obsessed with this and why I do this. And I just love that they're reflecting that back at me. And really beautiful messages from Limitless Money students, and even a few of you listeners who don't work with me and who just love listening to this podcast. I had some of the nicest messages and emails in the last week, and it was so interesting. I thought, I think it's because I just allowed myself to lean back into my feminine energy, be supported by my support network, but in doing so opened up my heart space extra, and then all of this extra and additional love came flooding in from all of these various sources, and it just felt so good and so nourishing. And so that again is an act of self-love, is allowing ourselves to receive that love from others. When we open up, it's been there all along and it can make its way in. Such a beautiful thing. So I love you. Let that into your heart space right now, will ya? If you resonated with today's show, do you know what would be a beautiful thing to do? Share this, my love, with somebody who could use it. Use a dose of this message and might resonate with it, share it with a sister, a business bestie, somebody. Hey, share it with an enemy, right? I got that phrase, totally stole it shamelessly from Yoga with Adrian. I just think that's a really good kind of notion, share it with an enemy. Let's share love with our enemies. What a beautiful thing. We're in far too a polarized society right now anyways, right? My goodness, I could go on a total tangent. Not gonna, reining it in. Okay, my love, I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you want to find out more about today's episode, you can do so in those show notes, which you can find on my website, CoreyJavid.com/podcast/not feeling limitless. Not sure I was ever planning on that as a title, but hey, it's here. We're accepting it and embracing it. And this is quite an ironic way to end the show, is it not, my love? Don't forget, in case you needed to hear it today, you are limitless. Bye for now. Hey my love, do we talk every Tuesday? If not, we totally should. You see, each Tuesday I send out a message exclusively to my besties on my email list. These are pep talks, hits of inspiration, behind the scene peeks, lessons I've learned in life, business and motherhood, and notes from the heart. And if I say so myself, these are some gold you don't want to be missing out on. Head over to CoreyJavid.com/Tuesday and sign up to receive my weekly notes. Plus, you'll be gifted my morning mindset routine designed to help you slay your day and your goals, because I believe even as mothers, we can have a morning mindset routine that works for us. That's CoreyJavid.com/Tuesday.